Welcome to Friday Night Live. Do me a huge favor right now. Can you press the share if you're on Facebook? Press the share button right now. Thank you so much. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our station right now, to our channel. We want everyone to be a part of this exciting show. We thank you for your support. Let's go into our service and let's enjoy the show.
Follow Jesus. I have decided to follow him forward. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow him forward.
My God is awesome. He can move mountains and keep me in the valley and hide me from the rain. My God is awesome. He heals me when I'm broken. He's strength where I've been weak, and forever he will reign. My God is awesome. Listen, he can move mountains and keep me in the valley and hide me from the rain. And my God is awesome. He heals me when I'm broken. He's strength where I've been weak, and forever he'll reign. And my God is awesome. Awesome. He's awesome. He's awesome. My God is awesome. Come on, you declare it. Say it. Awesome. Tell your trouble today. My God is awesome. Yes, He is. He's awesome. My God is awesome. He's the Savior of the whole world. He's the giver of salvation. By His stripes I am healed. My God is awesome. Today I am forgiven, and His grace is why I'm living. Come on, you ought to praise His holy name just for that. Whoa! 'Cause my God is awesome.
Melts in the sea.
Straight from the places far gone where we last thee. Blessed our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand.
It's trivia time. And in case you don't already know, it's February, which is Black History Month, where we celebrate all of the accomplishments and contributions that Black people had on this world. Listen, guys, for the next couple weeks, we're going to be going into a special selection of trivia. And man, we want you to participate. And all you have to do to participate, like we always say, is go down to the description box, click on the link, answer every question correctly. And if you can just do that, then your name will be entered into a raffle to win a prize. For the next few weeks, we're going to be asking questions pertaining to Black history, not just in the United States of America, but in our Adventist history as well. Got stuck there for some reason. Come on now. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and get ready. I want you to listen carefully to these questions, answer them correctly, and you just might enter into a raffle to win a prize. Are you ready? Here it goes. Now, I hope that you guys were able to answer all of the questions correctly, and I'm hoping that I'm able to send you a prize this month. Now, until next week, it's trivia time.
Happy Friday, Friday Night Live family. So this is another Flex with Lex challenge. I hope you guys were successful with your lunges. So this week we're gonna be on the floor. This week we're going to do flutter kicks. Yes, flutter kicks. So for flutter kicks, you're going to lay down on your back. You know, if you want to be If you want to be a little comfortable, you may want to put your hands underneath your butt, on your bottom like this. You want to extend your legs, and you want to do this, also called scissor kicks. You want to keep your head up. If you get tired, you can lay it down, but for the maximum impact on those abs, you want to keep your head up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are flutter kicks. If you really want to get snazzy, take it really slow. Okay? Flutter kicks. 100 a day for the week. 100 a day for the week. There's really no modification for it. Just go slow or as fast as you feel. All right? See you next week on Flex with Lex.
Hello. Black History Month is a commemoration vocab word for Black activists. Another vocab word
who took their time out to go fight for what they feel is right. Like
Martin Luther King had a speech that violence is not the answer and no segregation.
we celebrate Black people that helped us change history.
It reminds us to be strong, even in politics. Oi.
What matters is what's inside of you and how you act to other people.
Doesn't matter if you're Black, if you're white, you should always celebrate it because you know the struggles Black leaders went through in order for you to be here right now.
Even though we may have the different skin color, we're still the same type of people, no matter what.
And a lot of people, they don't see me for who I am. They see my outside appearance, but they don't see what I have on the inside.
It's very hard to grow up knowing that you're Black and you have a lot of personal prejudice against you.
I see it on the TV and I'm like, is that gonna happen to my brother? Is that gonna happen to my dad? I always have that in the back of my mind every time that I'm home and they're not home.
Black history is important to me because I have to remember where I came from and I have to remember who came before me.
Because you have to look at the things that Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X did for us Black people, so people can't treat us unfairly because they think some type of belief.
Because we are all people, and we need to stand up for our rights.
There's still discrimination. There's still discrimination in all parts of the world, in all parts of the United States. We should still fight for what we believe in. We should still fight for getting what's right.
Welcome to Friday Night Live. Happy Sabbath to everyone. What a great program this evening we have had thus far. You have to admit those kids, they just summarize what this month is all about. It's dedicated to uplifting and celebrating the rich history that people of color contributed to this great America. And this evening and for the next couple of weeks, we're going to focus and dedicate our time to celebrating us, Black Seventh-day Adventists in the regional conferences. We're going to celebrate our contributions. We're going to celebrate our buildings, our leaders. We're going to celebrate the gifts that God has blessed us to have to advance his gospel. And I want you to remember that really Black history is not just a month, it's every day. When you get up, it's another part of the history that we are still writing. And God is going to remember the efforts of this group of people. So we say to God be the glory that we have an opportunity to continue to advance the gospel, to continue to advance the movement of a rich group, a rich history of a group of people who descended from kings and queens. We're not monkeys. We're not gorillas. We're not a part of the Big Bang Theory. We're not a part of evolution. We were made in the image of God, blessed with a beautiful skin tone. God made us in his image, and I'm excited. I'm made in the image of God. I don't know about you. You want to celebrate with me? Let's celebrate for a moment. God made you in his image. You are powerful. You are beautiful. So this month, we're going to uplift this group, and we're going to remind you of your destiny and where you came from. Slavery is a part of our tradition, but it does not define who we are and where we're heading. This evening, I have a special guest that I can't wait to bring to this platform. He is a former president of a great conference, South Central Conference, and he is truly someone that I look up to. He is a gifted speaker. He is a profound leader. Pastor Dana Edmonds. Dana Edmonds is a awesome person to just listen to because he has a wealth of knowledge. He's somewhat the historian of the regional conferences. He has a series for the last couple of years. He's been promoting the strength of this great organization. And today we have the privilege of having him with us for this segment of Friday Night Live to pour into us. He has over 20 plus years of administration, started with the Office of Youth Director, where I am sitting today. And he was then elected to Executive Secretary and then President of South Central Conference. And he left a legacy that continues to push the work forward, and a legacy that continues to put the devil to shame. So we bless the Lord for his work, and we have the opportunity to speak to him so that he can pour into us. So at this time, let's bring in the family and let's welcome everyone, Pastor Dana Edmond at this time. Pastor Edmond, welcome, sir, to Friday Night Live. Let's bring everybody in so we can just welcome the bishop. Well, for real, Cherie? Yes, okay. Elder, I want you to know that this is the Friday Night family. I think some of the faces you may recognize. Up top, you have Java. He is over here with us. He left the cold to come to the heat. So we bless the Lord for him. You have Jonathan Rowe at the bottom. We have Miss Cherie. For some reason, she's rocking her Kente face mask. I don't know if that is FDA approved, but we're gonna pray that it will work during this COVID time. And then we have Pastor Andre McLeod and Pastor Eddie Gary, and then we have Pastor Lexus Madrid. So, Elder, welcome to the program. We are so happy to have you with us. Do you want to say anything to the family before we get started?
It's good to see you. Some of you I recognize by name. Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes, sir. Is there a delay on your end, or you able?
Okay, here.
Okay, awesome.
Java. It seems like there's a delay on.
Yes,
sir.
You want to speak to Dr. Edmond before we start?
Hey, that's my champ, man. How you doing, Elder?
It's good to see you, Elder Matheson. I'm sitting here in the cold and thinking you may have made a good choice in escaping the cold coming down to Florida, even though you defected from the conference where we hired you.
Yes. Well, I definitely appreciate my introduction to ministry. Watching you lead in South Central definitely has prepared me to join this team here in Southeastern.
We are so grateful to have you with us too, Elder. Elder Edmond, we want to say thank you for your contribution to the regional conference. Your leadership speaks for itself, and not often do you have the opportunity to hear it from others, how appreciative we are that we still have this work so that guys like myself and others and Lexi and females can have a place of employment where we can celebrate and exercise our gifts. So we want to say thank you, Elder, for your contribution to the work. And we know that this evening you have a rich storehouse that you're going to pull from to motivate us and to give us some perspectives in regards to Black history. So, Elder, we're going to start, and how we're going to do this, I'm going to ask a question, and some of my friends will follow up with just a simple comment if they need to. And we hope towards the end that we can allow the family, the audience, to pose one or two questions before you depart from us, and we can share some time together. So, Elder, let's start with this first question. Can you help our viewers understand why there was a need to separate African Americans from state conferences?
Well, first of all, it's important for everybody to understand how that happened. This is not, regional conference didn't come about because Black people got mad and left. The regional conferences were a vote of the General Conference in 1944. It came as a result of a very tragic. There had been people pushing for regional conferences. They were called colored conferences in those days.
Wow.
But the push came after the straw that broke the camel's back was a lady by the name of Lucy Bayard, who was refused treatment at an Adventist hospital called Washington Sanitarium because she was Black. She was admitted because she was very fair-skinned, but when she had to fill out her application and she indicated that she was of African American descent, then she went from being admitted to unadmitted. They stuck her in the hallway, and then transferred her to a hospital called Washington Freedmen's Hospital. One of the great ironies of that is I met about a year and a half ago with Advent Health, which is headquartered near your office there in Orlando, and they were kind of horrified to find out that that an Adventist hospital had denied the treatment and admission to an Adventist simply because of the color of their skin. One of the great ironies is Freedmen's Hospital is now Howard University Hospital, which is now an Adventist hospital. It's part
That's
of
what I'm talking about.
Advent Health. Yeah. So the and by the way, the CEO of the hospital is a Black female who I knew casually growing up in Allegheny West Conference. She's from Pittsburgh, and she's the CEO of Howard University Hospital. But getting back to your question, it's important to understand that this was a vote of the General Conference. When faced with a choice between full integration and regional conferences, the General Conference decided to do regional conferences.
So we were first called a color conference.
Yeah, that was the vote, colored conferences.
And I want you to know, Elder, Cherie works for Advent Health, and she's known to deny people services also. And she's actually Black. I really can't tell you why. She got this dashiki on and she's not servicing the people, but
She's still in the color conference.
Well, yeah. Well, you want to treat her nice because the hospital system is the only place in the Adventist church with money. So we want to treat her nicely. Maybe she'll hire us one day.
We're going to put her in the hallway.
Thank you, Elder. That was awesome. Let's go to number 2, Elder. How does history record the contributions of the early pioneers of the regional work? Name some of those.
The short answer. I'm sorry. The short answer is it really doesn't. Most of the people who are part of Black history, period. But most of us know that history is written by majority culture. And that's true of Adventist history as well. So one of the things that's important, that's why this discussion is so important, because we need to know our own history. We need to be able to tell our own story, because when you don't know your own history and you don't tell your own story, then other people tell your story from their perspective. So for example, most people do not know that the first regional conference was the Lake Region Conference. The first regional conference president was a fellow by the name of J.G. Dasent, D-A-S-E-N-T. But most people don't know that that 3 weeks after Lake Region got started, Northeastern, which is one of the largest, it's probably the fourth largest conference in North America. Northeastern came 3 weeks after Lake Region, and then the Allegheny Conference, which is now Allegheny East and West, came shortly after that. But history, both Black history and Black Adventist history, is largely lost to those of us of color, and that's a problem that we need to fix.
Wow. So our history books are definitely void of the great accomplishments that we have done in regards to advancing the work in major cities.
Yeah, that's very true. Here's it's not just the history though, Pastor Lewis. It's the present. Most people do not know that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a church of color. The largest demographic in the Seventh-day Adventist Church by far are people of African descent. There's no demographic close to that demographic. It starts off with the fact that almost 45%, that's almost half, almost 45% of all Adventists live on the continent of Africa.
45%.
Then add the people, almost 45% of all Seventh-day Adventists live in Africa. Okay.
Wow.
The two largest divisions in the Seventh-day Adventist Church are the South African Indian Ocean Division. That's headquartered in Johannesburg, South Africa, and the East Central African Division. That's headquartered just outside of Nairobi, Kenya. Those two together have almost 40% of the Seventh-day Adventists in the world church. There's 13 divisions. Almost 40% of them, 40% of Adventists live in those two divisions. There's another 1 million Adventists who are part of the West Central African Division. That is headquartered in Abidjan on the Ivory Coast. So that's 9 million of the little over 20 million Seventh-day Adventists that reside in those three African divisions.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
Oh yeah. But then when you throw in the Inter-American Division, which is headquartered not too far from you, that's probably the third largest division.
So are you telling me, Elder?
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you keep on with the ands. Go on with the ands.
No. I was saying, and the last year that I think it was 2018 that I checked, the last year that I checked, 70% of the baptisms came from one of those four divisions. So not only is that the Adventist Church a church of color, notice I didn't mention the South American division,
No.
which contains our Latino brethren. So when you throw those four divisions, that's probably close to 70% of the Adventist church right there. So the Adventist church is a church of color, but most people don't know that.
So we could start our own general conference, and that's just a joke. That's just a joke. That's just a joke. We got our own union, our own division. Mercy. That's great information.
Or
we got or now. Come on, give me some more.
I was gonna say, yeah. We don't have to start our own. We just have to come together with the one that we have. And the leadership of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, it doesn't have to be black, but it does have to be sensitive to the needs of its majority. In other words, just having a black person is not necessarily going to fix our problem, because all of our brethren do not understand black empowerment. So we had a president in the North American division who was Caucasian. He was Canada. He was from Canada. Dan Jackson, who just retired. Very good person to work with, very sensitive. So what we're looking for is someone who's sensitive to the needs of the majority group in the Adventist church.
Awesome. And you know, it's interesting because we have a system where you can borrow funds to build a church. It's called the Southern Union Revolving Fund, and it is a part of the Southern Union Union. Great concept. But can you imagine if we had that type of concept? How much more we could do with our resources? Something to think about. Something to think about. But that was great information. Anyone would like to add something here? Let's bring some of our friends in. Anyone? Before we move to the third question.
I wanted to say, Dr. Edmond, man, thank you for this is not just a history lesson. I was sitting over here in my mind saying, this man is preaching, man. This man is preaching. Talking about the history, man, of the regional conferences. Dr. Edmond, you said just a little while ago, you said that history is written by the majority, and I'm listening here. Man, I'm actually flabbergasted at hearing the numbers, the percentages, man, that you brought up of over 45% of Adventists are of African descent, whether in Africa or beyond. And I'm wondering, man, so if we're the majority, then who's writing the history then? So who's perpetrating the history that we've been that we've been taught, that we've been fed for so long?
Well, first of all, let me make sure you're clear on the percentages. That's 45% just in Africa. That's not including
just in Africa.
That's just Africa. It's a little under 45% just in Africa. Then when you throw in the people of African descent in the Caribbean, when you throw in the people in North America, and by the way, the largest single group of people in the North American division are of African descent.
Wow.
So when you throw all of that in, then the majority of, listen to what I'm saying, the majority of people in the Seventh-day Adventist Church are of African descent. Okay. So when you ask the question, who's right, the majority culture writes the history in part because we don't know our own history. We don't write our own history. I can tell you there probably only about I've been a pastor for 42 years. I've probably only seen 3 books on Black Seventh-day Adventist history, and they're written like 20 years apart. Okay. So the last one was written by Dr. Calvin Rock, former president of Oakwood. It's an outstanding book. Before that one, the last one was probably written by Charles Dudley.
Yes.
And that was probably done 25 or 30 years ago. So part of the problem is we have to, just before I discovered Dr. Rock's book, I was thinking about my office commissioning somebody to write a book about Seventh-day Adventist history. By the way, so now Dr. Rock wrote that book, but we're lucky, we're blessed because he was almost 90 years old when he wrote the book. So, you know, I don't know how sensible it is to continue to depend on 90-year-old people to write books. So, you know, I'm looking at some of you all. Somebody younger is going to have to pick up the torch. Now, I'm going to tell you what we're doing. We're building a building on Oakwoods campus to house all of our ministries.
Hold on, Elder. Wait. Hold on, Elder. Hold on, Elder. Okay. Can we all just clap for the advancement of the Black work? We have a building that will house all of the ministries of the regional conferences. That we just need to give you a hand clap for that, Elder. That we have something that we can call our own. So I just want to acknowledge that advancement for us as a people. So thank you for however it came about. To God be the glory. Go ahead, Elder.
Well, you're very kind. Right now they just finished laying the foundation, so we don't have the building yet. But they laid the foundation. Yeah, it'll be finished by. We want to have a grand opening at Pelk. It's supposed to be finished in December, but we're very thankful for that because that enables us to tell our own story on our own campus. Because a part of that building will be the first Seventh-day Adventist African American History Museum, where we will tell our own story on our own campus, and so that's important. It's also important to, you know, some people say, "Why, Elder Edmond, in a pandemic, why are you building a building?" Well, first of all, we're building that building without asking the conferences for an additional dime. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, you are either building your
Elder Edmond, give it a second. You just running real fast. We want to celebrate your contributions. Hold on. Let me celebrate a little bit. You're running. Okay, listen, guys. Those who are listening, there's a bunch of you out there. I need you to share this. We're building a building dedicated to the regional conferences where there will be a part of the building, a room, a section that will be dedicated to the contributions and the history of African Americans or just people of color. And by the way, it's built without a nickel from the 9 regional conferences. Somebody needs to shout amen. Let's give another hand clap. That is absolutely awesome. So, Elder, continue. We just need to celebrate as you tell the story. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me make sure you understand. Not an additional penny. The regional conferences contribute 10.25% of their tithe to retirement and to operate my office, which subsidizes a bunch of our ministries. We give almost $300,000 a year to Breath of Life. We subsidize Message Magazine. We subsidize Pelk. We subsidize United Youth Congress. So that building is being built by investing the funds that are being contributed by the regional conferences. We're building that building without asking for any more money than what they're already giving us. So I don't want people to say without a dime, but without any additional monies than what were already given to us.
Well, listen, we didn't know the first thing, but thank you so much. But still, once we don't have to give any more and the funds are being invested wisely, that's good money management. And to God be the glory, something that we can celebrate.
Yeah, and let me tell you why that's important. Because you either invest in yourself or you invest in somebody else's building. The North American division, before they built their own building, was paying $1 million a year in rent to the General Conference. You know how many buildings you can build if you pay $1 million a year? All of the 4 entities that will be in of the 5 entities that will be in our building, 4 of them are currently paying rent to somebody else. It makes more sense to invest in your own building than it is to keep building somebody else's building. So
great money management.
So after we will make our last rent payment in December, and then after that we'll be investing in ourselves.
Well, the Bible declares we are supposed to be owners.
I don't need a building, just one upper room.
And not renters. Go ahead, Sheree.
Pastor Edmonds, I'm so proud of the work that you're doing, that you're continuing to do, all the groundwork that you've laid to the furtherance of this work, especially Black history. Elder Prince usually picks on me as the resident West Indian on the panel because he thinks I know all things West Indian. But being that I am from Jamaica, born and raised, grew up as an Adventist back then. Coming here, it blew my mind as to the struggle of the African American Seventh-day Adventist journey, because we're not exposed to that back home. So we're kind of encapsulated in a bubble where 1 out of every 3rd Jamaican is Seventh-day Adventist. So we live in our bubble and we celebrate that to the point that when we come here, we pretty much take over any church that we're in. And like, this is the way it's done. We're going to do it. We're going to take over. Here we are. Hear us roar. Do you find that there is a struggle for a partnership between African Americans and West Indian for us to understand your rich history and where the church has come from and why it's so important for us to have our own and to be represented well? Do you find that it's a struggle with other Blacks from other cultures that don't necessarily understand your story and where you guys are coming from?
Yes, and it's unfortunate. And one of the things that we have tried to do is we are trying to form partnerships with people of African descent who don't live in the United States. Last year, we had the first summit between the African American leadership and the leadership in Africa. The regional presidents, and you all have been very generous in your praise of me, but I'm the front person that you see. It's all the regional conferences together. But we all 8 of the 9 regional presidents plus 3 conference treasurers flew to Nairobi, and we met with the African leadership because we wanted to build bridges, and we wanted to have an understanding of the different cultures. One of the things that we discovered in San Antonio was because there had not been that bridge building, there was a lot of misunderstanding. When you don't have relationships, then other people interpret for you. So we started with Africa. The next stop is Inter-America. At the time we were setting up our meeting in Africa, we also wanted to set up a meeting with the Inter-American leadership, which actually would have been a lot shorter trip. Their office is in Miami. The challenge was they had just changed presidents. The long-term president of the division, Dr. Lito. He had just resigned. Retired. And so It took us a while. They gave us a date to meet with them. That date didn't work. And then the pandemic hit. So, part of it is just a misunderstanding. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened when we were in Nairobi. My office was responsible for setting up the meeting. So I'd gone over the year before and had made all of the housing arrangements, the transportation arrangements. The airport is about an hour from the campus. We met on the campus of Adventist University of Africa. So we had to make the arrangements for the food, the transportation, the lodging, all that kind of stuff. And so I was working with the assistant to the president of East Central Africa, who actually is an American who's serving as a missionary over there. So we had set up a program, but unscripted, one of the presidents said, hey, we want to talk about how your perception of us. We hear that you think so and so and so and so of us. And he was really blunt. And so it was some real talk, you know, how they had misunderstood us, we had misunderstood them. At the end of the meeting, the president of the West Central African Division, he had the Vesper service, and he said something that was just crucial. He said, we will never allow other people to separate us again. And so this is a long answer to your question. What has happened is the minority has benefited from the warfare between the majority. Okay, the fight. And I tell this to people all the time because I started. My first church was in the Caribbean. I call myself the first American West Indian. The fight, the drama between African Americans and Caribbean Americans, that's the stupidest fight ever, because we all came from the same place. Okay, Sister Cherie, y'all just got dropped off in better weather. That's the only difference. And this stupid fight has served to keep the minority in power.
Let me tell you something, Elder. You said something tonight that should be played in every church tomorrow morning. I dare pastors. Now you may want to take up some of the words, but the gist of it is powerful. It's a fight that's foolish. Man, Elder, thank you. You wow. Honesty is so refreshing. Hallelujah.
And let me make it clear. I'm not anti-white. I hired the first white pastor in South Central. I hired the first white school teachers. I just believe that diversity is a two-way street. And most of the time in the United States, that door only swings one way.
Come on, preach, preacher. Preach.
And you know, people ask me, is there some plan by white people to pit black people against each other? And I say, I don't know, probably not, because white people don't need a plan to make us fight each other. We do that. And it is to our, when we have, there is not a single person who's worked in a regional conference in a leadership position in the general conference. As the Bible would say, no, not one. There's nobody on the presidential level. And when I say presidential level, I mean the assistants to the presidents, vice presidents, the secretary, the undersecretary, the treasurer, the under treasurer, the departmental leadership, not one.
Wow.
How is that in a church that's majority black? And it's
This
and
is
it's
why
and
we're
it's
having this
because
program tonight. This is why we're having this program tonight.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
That's Pastor Edmund. That's so profound. What you just said, and you said that you were building a building because there's an old African adage that says, "Until the lion learns to speak, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunter." And you're building
Absolutely.
one building where we can tell our story from our perspective. And then you brought up such a poignant point about the fight that we're having with West Indian and African Americans, and we're all the same people. I'm wondering if you guys have any leftover money to build a building for rehabilitation for people like Cherie, because we've been trying to rehabilitate and civilize her for a long time, and we lack the resources. So
You see how they,
No, listen.
you see how they do me? You see how they do
No,
me, Pastor?
no,
Okay.
Pastor. I can
And
clear
I
this up.
told you all. I told you all she works for Advent Health. That's the only place in this church that has money. Y'all treat
Y'all better
her
be nice
nicely.
to me.
So we just gotta go rob them.
Print your work.
Pastor, Pastor Edmonds, we can clear this up with a cooking contest. All it is we can just go to pigeon peas and rice instead of rice and peas.
Oh gosh.
Okay,
Thank you, Pastor.
We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go. Not tonight. Not tonight. We all won, Jay. We all won.
Well, Elder, thank you for reminding us that rice is rice and peas are peas is peas. Thank you, Elder. Thank you.
Which I learned how to eat that. I learned how to eat that when I was in St. Thomas.
And what did they call it? What did they call it?
I think they called it, now it was 42 years ago. I think they called it peas and rice.
Thank you.
Oh, not in St. Thomas. You have your islands mixed up, Elder.
He said,
Touchdown. Elder, you are gifted. You are gifted. The Lord has favored you, Elder. So we're gonna move on. It's been settled. It's settled.
The Elder's name got to get on here now.
It's settled. Thank you, Elder Edmund, for that.
That was before Jesus came.
Go ahead, Java.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to change the mood, but I did want to ask the elder a question, particularly about the location. Like, what was the motivation of making sure that the regional conference office is located not just in Huntsville, but on the campus of Oakwood University? Like, is there a strategy in doing so in regards to making sure that Oakwood University is central to the building up of the regional conference and the education of our children?
That's important, and let me tell you that we put in that building an auditorium, and we did it for two reasons. One is you can subdivide that auditorium, which seats a little under 300 people. You can subdivide it into classrooms. So when we met last week with the school leadership, the School of Theology, we said, listen, we are putting classrooms in there. If I have my way, and I could get outvoted, but if I have my way, we're not charging the school to use those classrooms. What we want students to have to come in that building every day and say, what meaneth these stones? Because there are a lot of, as you know, Elder Matheson, from working with students, our students don't know. It's scary. It is scary, the lack of knowledge that Oakwood students have about regional conferences. And not just Oakwood students. Oakwood people, period. Here's a quick story.
Okay.
To illustrate that. One of the conference presidents asked me to get some information. So I called a department on the campus, which will remain nameless. And I said, I'm Elder Edmond. I work for the Office of Regional Conference Ministries. Can you give me the following bit of information? They said, Elder Edmond, I can't give you that information because I don't know what the Office of Regional Conference Ministries is, and I don't know who you are. Well, I used to be the president of the conference that covered Oakwood's territory. So, and I hadn't been gone that long, but there's just there's a complete lack of knowledge of our history on our campus. So we're very blessed that the president of Oakwood recognizes the strategic partnership of regional conferences in Oakwood. Regional conferences are one of the largest contributors. Each of us contributes a portion of our tithe towards the operation of Oakwood, and that total contribution is about $6 million. So Dr. Pollard recognizes that contribution, and he agreed to lease us the property to where we're building our building for $1 a year for 9 years. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, $1 a year. So as soon as we get in the building, I'm gonna write him a check for $99, and we'll be good.
100 years.
But
Jonathan?
so those two reasons.
No, finish,
those
Elder.
two reasons are. Yeah, I was saying it is important. That is the largest single group of future workers and future constituents anywhere in the country. So it is strategic, but we wouldn't have been able to do that without Dr. Pollard, and we're very grateful.
Can I get one more follow-up question? So with this strategy, Oakwood being the only, HBCU Adventist institution, and when you look at how the regional conferences all, had their genesis, how much would you contribute the birth and the success of the regional conferences to Oakwood?
Oh, it's critical. It's there. I don't know if we would have had regional conferences if there were no Oakwood, because at the time that we started regional conferences, it was very difficult for a Black person to go to a lot of our schools. There were some schools we just couldn't get into, period. So there would probably be no regional conferences if Oakwood was not there to provide the pipeline of workers.
Awesome. Jonathan?
Elder, I'd just like to ask you a question about what is the strength of the finances, the money that comes from the regional conferences? How strong are we as far as finances?
There's two ways to answer that question. If all the regional conferences were part of their own union, which I'm not advocating. Please don't run out of here saying, Elder Edmond said we need to have our own union. I'm not saying that. Well, I'm saying that if we did, though, that union, which would be that, and that would be 9 conferences. So, and the largest union, I think, has 8 conferences. So we'd be right with the largest one. We would be the largest union in tithe and in membership in the North American division. Okay. If we were our own division, now keep in mind, divisions are huge. Okay. But if we were our own division of what would then be 14 divisions, we would be 4th in tithe in the world. So Black people regional conferences are a serious economic force. Somewhere between 7 to 8% of all the tithe in the Adventist church comes from regional conferences, when we're only 2% of the membership. So regional conferences are a major force in the Adventist church. Now, having said that, all all conferences, all regional conferences. I don't know about state conferences, but I suspect a lot of them have the same challenges. All conferences operate on a narrow margin. Even I was blessed to be in a healthy conference, but even that operates on a narrow margin. So, as collectively, regional conferences make a significant impact. Individually, it kind of runs the gamut to very small conferences that have challenges to very large ones that have a separate set of challenges.
Andre?
Yes, Elder Edmonds, thank you again so much. I did want to ask a question. You just shared with us the economic power that is in the regional work. And I know one great example of leveraging that power is the retirement plan. But I wanted to know, were there any other ideas or any other strategies or suggestions, solutions that the regional work has for how to further leverage the economic power that flows within the regional work?
If you don't mind, that's an excellent question. Let me make a statement first, and I'll answer your question. You just pointed out when people say, why do we still need regional conferences? The reason why you still need regional conferences is it is absolutely critical to be able to control your own resources. Okay. When you control your own resources, then you can decide how you do ministry instead of asking permission. You see, if we would have never, ever, ever, ever been able to have a retirement program if we didn't control our own resources. We would have had to ask permission to build a building if we didn't control our own resources. So when people say, why do we still need, because if you don't control your own resources, then you don't control the direction of your own ministry. Okay. So in the places where you don't have regional conferences, like on the West Coast, when they want to do something, they have to get permission, from the conferences where they're in, where we don't have to do that. And so we can do things like retirement and PELC and Message Magazine and Regional Voice and United Youth Congress. We don't have to ask anybody to do those things. We have our own breath of life. And I'm hoping that the next step is not just a breath of life, but our own network where we can right now we are limited to what we can do on media to a certain kind of worship style. Okay. We produce programming up the wazoo. Why can't we, instead of this, what you all are doing tonight, if we had our own network, then we could be doing this across the nation. And we could be telling this story across the nation. We could be putting the powerful preachers that you have in your conference and other conferences. I look at people like Stephen Furtick, and I look at sermons where he's getting hundreds of thousands of views. Why can't that be an Adventist preacher? And if we had our own network, that's the next step. I'm taking a trip out to the West Coast on Sunday to look into taking some steps towards having our own network. Because what the pandemic has forced us to do is to produce programming. Well, now we got all this programming. I would love to have, in essence, a Zoom TV guide that said, and we would put it on everybody's website so that you would know what programs are going on, not just in your conference, but across the country. And if we had, if we had, say, a communications director, which is a proposal that I made, and I'm thinking that because we've received preliminary approval for that beginning in the spring we'll have a communications director. Well, a communications director could work with all the conferences and to put together a network of programs that say at 7 o'clock, this program is on. At 8 o'clock, this program is on. At 9 o'clock, this program is on. So all this what you're doing, Elder Lewis, is great. I would like to see more. I wish more people knew about it. And that's what having our own network would do. Okay.
Well,
now I went way away from your question. Oh, okay. No, he didn't. I didn't finish. I really didn't finish answering his question. We had the regional conference convocation in July, and one of the things that came out of that was the need to have a regional conference summit where leaders, lay people, and administrators and pastors come together and address the common issues that we have. We divide that up into 3 areas: education, evangelism, and efficiency. I chaired a efficiency subcommittee, and one of the things that we're looking at is, okay, how can we leverage our buying power? Okay, all of us run conference offices. What if we said we'll all buy our computers, our paper, our whatever from the same place? You know, maybe it would cost less than all of us going solo. So that's Brother Bishop, that's one of the conversations we're having. How can we leverage our buying power and I don't know, you know, because sometimes people have long-term relationships with different organizations, and you know, I don't know if we'll be able to do it, but at least I want to have that conversation.
I am excited. I am so pumped up right about now, buddy. This is good stuff. This is really beyond just the work. This is a conversation about life, changing the way we live within this regional progressive movement. And it sounds like a movement now, Elder. And I'm excited, but I have to push you on one area of concern for many of our young, vibrant professionals. We lose a lot of the wealth of Black Adventism because of buildings that are not adequate. They feel that our conferences are less prepared and equipped for churches that are of the same caliber, or supposed to be of the same caliber. A prime example, for every mother church within the regional conferences, when you go to the state conferences and you see their mother churches, they're usually beautiful, kept well, maintained. The membership is still growing. We have a couple of our, pioneer churches, for some who would like for me to use that terminology. They're lying in waste. And if mama is sick, then it's an indication that the kids are not doing well. How do we begin to turn that image into something positive? Because honestly, when my friends, when Gen Xers and millennials, when they graduate, and now this next generation Z, when they graduate, Elder, they're not looking to help a building fund. They want to walk into a building that's already funded. And the question I have for you, and this is a question that I have to deal with, and you're a former youth director, and these questions, they come to us. When are we going to start investing in the infrastructure of our conferences?
Well, what needs to happen, in my opinion, is we're going to have a serious dialogue with our millennials and Gen Z and what is I'm getting my alphabets mixed up.
You're good, Elder.
Millennials,
You're good.
Gen X.
You're good.
And part of that conversation is, and I talked about it in my blog on our website. Part of it is expanding the leadership circle in our conferences to include younger people. If you look at most, when we have our board meeting, there are far more people, and our board consists of all the regional presidents, the regional secretaries or vice presidents, and the regional treasurers. And if you look in that room, there are far more people in that room who look like me than look like you. Okay, and that has to change. And it can change not by throwing old people out, because you need there's a certain level of experience that you need for conference administration, but you also need to include younger people. When I was president, quite by mistake, I wish I could tell you I was smart enough to think of this on my own, but after going through 3 or 4 names, I finally landed on Merquita Mosley, who was at that time a female millennial as our treasurer. She was the first female conference administrator in our history. And having a young female as part of my administration gave me a perspective that I wouldn't have had. And so I believe that we have to, I need to do it in my office. We have to widen our circle. I have a job pre-COVID-19 that literally took me around the country, and I will tell you, in virtually every church that I visited, and I was in a different church every week for a couple of years. When I came home, when COVID hit, I had not been home for a year. Okay, wow. I was in a different church. I was in all 9 regional conferences plus the 2 West Coast units last year. All right, and in almost every church, I'm looking at people standing up front who look like me. Okay, on all levels of the church, we got to widen our leadership circle. That's the first thing that's going to change. We're not going to get, it takes younger people to reach younger people. Okay. And that means telling them to pull up a seat at the table. Now, once they get to the table, then they need to understand there's some responsibilities. You as young people, you have to decide whether you want to help build something or whether you're only going to be a part of something that's already built. I listen to you young people talk about Wakanda forever. Well, listen, regional conferences are the closest thing to Wakanda in the Adventist church. They're run by us, for us. So
that's deep.
So
that's deep.
If Black Lives Matter, Black institutions have to matter too. And so you all have to join us. Now we gotta pull up, we gotta widen the table and put some more chairs at the table. But you guys have to join us in fixing the things that right now you just talk about.
Awesome. Wow. Wow. That was sort of challenging because that's accountability.
I intended it to be.
Yeah, I was watching you craft that, on the spot. And Elder, I must say you're very gifted, and throwing it back at us. And now you have placed that ball in my court to say, listen, either we step up or we shut up.
Hey, Prince, I felt like Isaiah. Here, my Lord, send me.
Elder, I'm going to get to Andre.
This thing is not
back to that was deep. Andre, come on, jump in. I got to come back to that one.
Okay, yeah, Elder Edmonds.
This is not fixable without you all.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes,
no,
sir.
I'm sorry. I was saying this is not fixable without you all.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Elder Edmonds, I did want to ask. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I believe you guys had a summit with young people's millennials, and there might have been some exes there. And you guys went through a whole process with them over a few days where they gave ideas and recommendations. And I think there was a whole report done. And I first wanted folk to know that happened. It was done by the regional conferences, and they got young people, exes and millennials, that came together and did, really talk about these kinds of issues. I don't know if you could give us an update on what came out of that, and just let the folk know that it did happen. So it's not that the regional conferences aren't trying to reach out to that generation.
I think you're referring to the two things that we did. One is we added to my board, which includes the presidents, the secretaries, and the treasurers. We added a young adult or millennial caucus. They call themselves Next Gen, and they meet with our board to give advice. They even have a seat on the board. We put that group. We did a roundtable discussion with that group as part of what we call our 5 at 5 series, which was a series of 5 roundtables at 5 o'clock Eastern. So I think that's what you're referencing. And the next step is to what was supposed to happen next month was there was supposed to be the regional conference summit, which would have included that caucus, where we would say, okay, now here are the ideas. Let's vote on which ones we're going to recommend to regional conferences to adopt. But we had to postpone that because of the pandemic, because we felt like that was not a Zoom conference kind of meeting. That we needed all to be in the same room, if possible, hashing this stuff out. But the subcommittees are still meeting. My subcommittee meets again Thursday, and we're going to make a preliminary report to the conferences. We're going to say, okay, this is what we've learned thus far. We're not going to wait till next year to give you our ideas. But we're telling you now. This is kind of what these are kind of the things we're talking about. And you can talk about them, tweak them, and when we have our summit next spring, then we can talk about what ideas you think will work and won't work.
Elder, can we invite you after you're done with that conversation? We would love to have you back to share with us the outcome of that dialogue, because we are. You gave us a challenge, and I appreciate the honesty and just the direct gut check. Basically, either we join with the mission, and regardless of where we are and the condition of our buildings and memberships, we need to work together to improve, to enhance, so that we can advance the work and be a greater light in the communities where we are. And I want to accept that challenge. I want to put that challenge into the atmosphere of Friday Night Live and those who are a part of our family viewership. that, guys, let's start joining and partnering with the vision and move our conferences forward. And I'm going to ask Dr. Edmond if they can lay a groundwork, and I think you're doing that, and that will be practical on how we can. And it's not so much trying to recreate the wheel, but truly some of our young people, they just are unaware of how this is done. So I believe through social media, we can be a great influence on helping to navigate this type of change that we want.
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me. I know it's getting late, so let me say this real quickly. With all the disadvantages that any Black institution has in a country that has serious racial issues, okay? I mean, we just saw what happened a month ago when the Capitol was attacked. There is clearly a significant minority of the country that would rather give up democracy than give up supremacy.
Mm.
And so that's the environment that we operate in. Okay. So, but despite the disadvantages that any Black entity has operating in a country that such as United States, the fact of the matter is, despite the fact that regional conferences got started 100 years later, the fact that they operate with 2/3 of the revenue, they cover more territory. Over the last 75 years, we've grown 4 times faster than the rest of the church in North America. Okay. The question now is, what's next? Can we take the next step? And the answer is no, unless you guys join in. I'm a few years from retirement, so where we go next is not going to be decided by me. In 4 years, I want to be out the door. So I know what was passed on to me. I would hate to see people like Elder Dudley in the kingdom and have to say, Elder Dudley, we lost what you gave us, even though we had far more resources. I looked at some statistics, some baptismal statistics from 1985. The total tithe in regional work in 1985 is less than Northeastern's tithe is by itself now. Okay, we have 5 times the money that we had then. I would hate for us to lose what we have when we have more educated people, more money, more workers, more of everything that we ever had. But at the same time, we have some real threats because we are rapidly reaching the point in the United States where right now, almost half of all Black people are in a state conference.
Wow.
So if that trend continues, in a few years, we'll be looking at the fact that the majority of Black people choose not to be in a regional conference, and that over a long period of time. Now there's some extenuating circumstances. I mean, there's no Black conferences on the West Coast or in Canada. Okay, but you all live in a state that has had a massive switch in Florida conference from a majority white conference to a majority minority conference. And if you look at their tithe has grown at a rate that's faster than any regional conference. And a part of that is money that has come from people of color. So not only do the hospital system, but they when I preached for the Florida Conference camp meeting, it was a privilege, but I thought I was in Southeastern. And then they were kind enough to bring me back to preach for their prayer conference, their conference prayer conference. There were huge, big crowd in a big church. There were probably as many white people in that crowd that day as are in this family right here. Okay. We have a massive transfer of people and resources from state conferences, from black conferences to state conferences. And a lot of some of that is driven by younger people. So we got to have a conversation that says, in order for the black empowerment in the Seventh-day Adventist Church to continue, you guys are the ones that are going to continue it, not me. And it's got to be as important to you as it is to me.
I think Julian, pull up the last two comments. The one before Elder English, Tunic 22. So why don't we join the two? Sounds like the state conference is becoming regional. But then Elder Baldwin, Elder English, gave a great response. Some of our people love to run to diversity when diversity never runs toward us. That's why I love my Friday night.
I'm gonna have to write.
That was a good one.
English, I'm still in that. I'm still in that.
Yeah, and Elder,
that is very true.
This was a rich time. This was just rich. This was very rich. The information, my goodness, just awesome, Doc. We want to say thank you. You will be back. You will be back. I think this is a part one of many series to come, because we just can't have a conversation without a follow-up. Do we agree, guys?
Absolutely.
We're starting to build, and we need to continue to put some investment, or should I say we need to invest more in this dialogue. So, Elder, I have one more question for you, just one more, and we're done. And the question is simply, are we there yet?
Well, it depends on where there is. I think we have something to be grateful to God about how far He has led us. We have 100 years. We start off 100 years behind. We still have less money. We still have to deal with some of the stuff that we've had to deal with since Black people came to this country. But despite all of that, the Lord is blessed. The question is not, for me, not are we there yet? Because I don't think we'll ever be there until Jesus comes. But a better question is, are we going to be able to continue to move towards there? And the answer to that question doesn't rest with me, it rests with you all.
Once again, you're throwing that challenge right back to us. And I love the way you crafted that response, Elder. A job well done. Pastor Edmund, thank you so much. God bless you, my friend. We appreciate your leadership. And guys, let's just salute our president of the ORG. We thank you, Doc. And we're praying for you. We will do this again. We would do this again. This was beyond what I thought. This was just absolutely great. Friday Night Live family, thank you. for joining us. Go ahead, Elder. I'm sorry.
No, thank you so much. It was an enormous honor.
Oh, you will be back. Listen, guys, have a great Sabbath. We will see you again next week, Friday Night Live out. God bless you. Happy Sabbath. Thank you for sharing this time with us. And remember, please share this on whatever platform you may be watching on right now. And if you are on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. Once again, this program is just for you. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week right here, same time, same place.